Good morning, everyone. Once again, welcome to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. And thank you, Lenny, for a great start to our Tuesday. And it's sort of a Arnie double header today, right? So I'm going to be with you this morning. We'll be back on again tonight. That's right. And we got something special for you tonight, especially with the news that was announced yesterday. And it becomes even more timely because now we know there's going to probably be, it's more than likely than not be, a season. The commissioner said, players, let me know if you can report by July 1st. And all I've been reading on Twitter for the past week is tell us when and tell us where. So, July 1st better not be an issue. I'm just telling you. The second one is the 67-page protocol for how to test for corona and the health issues involved, and the players approving that. Now, here's the other thing. The players at one point wanted a less restrictive, that's right, less restrictive plan than what MLB had for them. So, it looks to me like we're set to go, and I'm excited. Now it's up to the commissioner to come up with the schedule that will start on July 24. We'll hear the crack of the bat, and we're going to play ball. There you go. And so now it's time to be looking at our fantasy teams. What we're going to talk about tonight, I'm not going to get into it now. We're going to talk about the National League designated hitter and how that factors into fantasy 2020. Yeah, every team in the National League now has one more batter. So that's 15 more players. So there you go. It's going to be impactful. We'll talk a little bit, or I'm sure Chappie will, talking pitchers tonight. I'm talking about it right now. I wonder, just food for thought, I wonder how impactful starting pitching will be in a 60-game season starting July 24 in fantasy relative to how impactful it may be during the course of a 162-game season. I really wonder. So, yeah, I'm here, and it's good morning to everyone. Whether you are listening in our chat room online, that would include Andrea and Clarona and Demazins and Lenny and Kevin and Taco and guest Buck, whoever that is, and guest Cindy. You know, it'd be really great, guys, if you'll log in. We know who you are that way, right? I mean, who's named Guest Buck? Your first name is Guest, and your last name is Buck. And I don't know why your parents would name you Guest. But anyway, log in, join us. It's a lot of fun. We have fun here. Even during the times when there was really no sports to talk about, we've carried on the dialogue. We've had fun, and thank you. And if you're listening to a podcast somewhere, thank you for that too. Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports. We've got it covered. And we're going to have some great shows coming up. It's going to be baseball before long. It's going to be basketball. I did read this morning. Check this out. And I don't know if Major League Baseball is delving in or investigating the ability to do the same thing. But, you know, the NBA season's starting the end of July. And they're going to be at the Wide World of Sports at Disney World in Florida. And sort of like a compound, 22 teams, 8 teams will not be there, including the Golden State Warriors, who only won 15 games. They won't be there. Only the top 22 will. But here's where I'm going. For coronavirus testing purposes, what I'm reading this morning is that the NBA will implement this bracelet, and it's purportedly 90% or better correct at letting us know who may be corona infected 3 days out before symptoms show. That's right. They wear the bracelet. I tell you what else it does. It's a little bit of Big Brother going on here. And if you don't know what that is, read Orwell's book. But not only does it test 3 days out for corona, but it also can track where a person has been to know where they may have contracted the virus. Also, check this out. Technology. Good morning, Taco. Technology is so incredible. They're also saying that if a player is within 5 feet of someone, 6 feet rather, of someone else, you know the social distancing rules, for more than 5 seconds without moving, the bracelet will beep. So that the player will know to move it along. Wow. So it lets us know 3 days ahead if you're corona symptomatic. It lets you know 3 days ahead all of that. It lets us know where you've been so it may track where you could have been infected. And then it also has a social distancing timer built in as well. What more could you ask for, right? So that's what the NBA is going to be using. Don't be surprised. You know how sports are. You know how we are. We're a copycat league, right? Not many ziggers when they're zaggers. We're copycatters. And now that I've read about it, I got to believe MLB has read about it. And so I just wonder if we don't see something similar employed with Major League Baseball. Now, tickled to death we're having games, aren't you? I wonder now when the discussion will start up on when can fans attend. Because, come on. It's a lot more exciting when there are at least some people in the stands. And I got to believe at some point Manfred is going to address that. And I'm sure we're premature talking about doing it today, but at some point it won't be premature to address the issue. So we'll see how we address that issue of fans being in attendance to some degree at games, because again, think about it. If you have a 50,000 seat stadium and you can put safely 10,000 people in, at least you've got 10,000 people. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of ticket sales. That's a lot of concession. That's a lot of souvenir. It's a lot of programs. That's also putting people back at work who have to provide these services. If you can safely do it. And there's got to be a way to safely assemble people acknowledging social distancing in an outdoor environment. And I will go. Andrea will go. Jack Youngblood will go. Good morning, Jack. I will certainly go. They're already doing, I don't know where you live, but where I live, American Legion games are being played. There's a high school tournament. Jack Youngblood, you will enjoy this. Granger Stadium, which is the stadium where the High A Down East Wood Ducks play associated with the Texas Rangers. They're hosting a high school doubleheader tournament this weekend. That's right. One game at 1, one game at 6. Fans are buying tickets. You heard me. Fans are buying tickets and going to the game. Now, tickets are limited. But again, I think it's going to be interesting to see the crowd that shows up for a high school, sort of a high school all-star game at Granger Stadium this weekend. I'll take pictures. I'll post online. Guarantee you there will be a crowd there. And I don't even know who's playing. Imagine if the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Orioles, I'm just going down the East Coast, the Nats, World Series champs. If these teams and others sell tickets on a limited basis, fans will show. Where am I going with this? Not only will fan interest peak, I think the players blew it. I think the players in negotiating the deal dropped the ball. I think they were so stubborn to try to get what they wanted, knowing they weren't, that they lost sight of there was money to be made. What they agreed to in the agreement that I read this morning is, or not what they agreed to, but what Manfred will employ is less than what the players could have agreed to. They could have agreed to more. So as far as getting people in, getting people out, okay. So if I'm going to a game and I have to get there 3 hours early and I'm going to buy a ticket, then I'm going to make plans to get there 3 hours early. If I have to leave an hour later, I'm going to make plans to leave an hour later. Maybe I don't go to every game, but I go to a game and other people go to games. And because of the limitation of tickets, look, when you start saying tickets are limited, and when people start calling and they're told for a particular game it's sold out, they're going to clamor for the next one. That's how we are as human beings. That's what's going to happen. Baseball still has a chance to make something good out of something bad. It's the old silver lining in a dark cloud scenario. And baseball can still pull that off. Now, I'm sure you're not going to have autographs. I'm sure you're not going to have fan-player interaction. We don't expect that in the year 2020, do we? But can you imagine fans being there in attendance, players acknowledging the fan base, a tip of the hat, a wave to the crowd? Let's make this human. We have dehumanized so many things. Let's make it human. And it's a way to respond to the social issues going on now, because it doesn't matter where you come from. It matters that we all have something in common. And it's the commonality of baseball. So we'll let the commissioner and his staff figure out how families can sit together, how people can assemble, how they will enter. That'll be left to the commissioner and the individual teams. But there's a way to do it. You know, with the ticket that you pay for, give everybody a little bottle of hand sanitizer too. I mean, what are tickets? $50, $60? What's a bottle of hand sanitizer? Maybe $1, maybe $2. A little bottle. I don't mean a big old bottle. I mean a little bottle. Do something to encourage the fans. Be commonsensible about it. And let's get back to playing ball and watching it. There will be fans at games if they sell tickets. Write it down. There will be fans in the stands if they sell tickets. Write it down. And it's a good thing, because it's time we use common sense, we social distance, we'll be in outside facilities for the most part. Teams can control that. Who they sell tickets to, or not who, but where they sell the tickets. Let's get back out to the games and let's play. And I'm reading the chat room. No kids. No, let kids go. Sit with your family. Get back to old standards. Parents, be parents. Don't let your kids roam around. Be a parent, okay? Who's in charge? Parents should be in charge of their kids. And it's time in America that got back to where it ought to be. So many times kids run the show. They do. Parents, don't let it happen. You go to a game, parents, your kids sit with you, or they don't go. Simple as that. And if the kid has to go to the bathroom, hey, parent, you go with them. Yeah. It's easy to manage when you think about it. It's when people don't act with good judgment that it doesn't work. So let the stadium operators have some discretion. And if you don't follow the rules, you get kicked out. They remove you from the stadium. They ask you to leave and you leave. That's just the way it is. People will be respectful. Because we've gone so long without the game of baseball. I'm excited. And Jack Youngblood just put in the chat room, vulnerable people need to stay home. Sure, go listen to my whole context. Use common sense. If I'm vulnerable, whether I've got a pre-existing condition, whether I'm an elderly person that I'm just vulnerable to it because of I don't need to go right now. That's not who's going to be going in the 10,000 people. Okay? If you're vulnerable, stay home a little while. But it's the people like Jack Youngblood who can go to the game and be reasonable and follow the rules and enjoy the national pastime. There you go. Let's do it. You know, we're in this, I got to talk about our draft a little bit, right? Now that, I guess baseball will get the bracelets like the NBA. Maybe we'll open it up July 24th. 1 month away, guys. Who's excited other than me? I mean, if you're excited...